I know I may be the last person to do so. It's 10:47 p.m. India, and I'm going to read the Indian Express, Monday, December 8, 2025. So the headline says 25 dead in Goa club fire. FIR flags lapses exits to licenses. Owners, partners, and manager of club booked for culpable homicide. Article has been given by okay. Article has been given by Pavneet Singh Chadda, Panji, December 7. At least 25 people died after a fire broke out at a nightclub in North Goa's Arpora late Saturday night. According to the police, the fire started just before midnight at a club called Bridge by Romeo Lane. Among the dead were 4 tourists and 14 members of staff at the club. Eyewitnesses said the blaze started after fireworks were set off during a belly dance performance. Police have registered an FIR and booked the club's owners, partners, manager, event organizer, and other managing staff on charges of culpable homicide. The FIR flagged a series of lapses at the club, including the absence of fire safety equipment, no emergency exit doors, and a lack of required permissions. License. The title of the next article is House Panel Likely to Call Top Indigo Officials. Nobody will be spared, says MOS. Article has been given by Diptiman Tiwari, New Delhi, December 7. Days after the government set up a committee to probe the unprecedented wave of flight cancellations over the past week by Indigo, the country's largest carrier is set to face further scrutiny with the Parliamentary Committee sorry, on Transport, Tourism and Culture likely to summon its top officials over the issue. Sources said the committee has not yet fixed a date between, but the issue is firmly on its mind and may be taken up in its next sitting. Moving to the next article, the title is Opposition Missing from Putin Meetings, Congress, BJP in War of Words. This article has been given by Manoj C.G., New Delhi, December 7. Triggering a war of words between the ruling BJP and the main opposition Congress. Leader of opposition in Lok Sabha Rahul Gandhi and his Rajya Sabha counterpart Mallikarjun Kharge were not invited to the official dinner that President Draupadi Murmu hosted for Russian President Vladimir Putin at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Although Congress has described the omission as another low, the BJP says the opposition should have asked the Russians to set up a meeting. But amid the finger pointing, it's clear that what is happening now stands in stark contrast to what used to happen earlier. Consider this: November 2010, when US President Barack Obama visited India. Among the dignitaries who met him in New Delhi included the then leader of opposition and BJP leader Sushma Swaraj. During the 30-minute meeting, she spoke about the historical evolution of India-US ties and underlined initiatives taken by the AB Vajpayee. Actually, this is the first page of the newspaper where 25% is given of all the articles and the rest 75% is given on the second page. I'm not reading the entire article. I'm just reading the 25% which I feel is important, which is given on the first page. I know incomplete information is harmful when you're implementing it into something else. As of now, I'm not going to implement any of this information to do any kind of protest or anything. The reason why I'm just reading the 25 important percent of the articles given on the first page. So title of the next article is most victims migrate most victims migrate work migrate workers. Kin ask why did no one save them? Article has been given by Pavneet Singh Chadda, Panji, December 7. कौन गोवा नहीं आना चाहता? Who doesn't want to come to Goa? Asked Ashish Rawat, sitting outside the morning of Goa Medical College and Hospital on Sunday. His cousin Jitendra Rawat, 24, came to the coastal state from their home in Uttarakhand's Tehri Garhwal district 6 months ago and got a job as a chef. Jitendra was among the kitchen staff who died in the midnight fire at Beach by Romeo Lane in Arpora on Saturday night. The rest 50% of the newspaper is of an advertisement. Okay, this and this. Okay. Moving ahead, title of the first article of the State News of Maharashtra. Local body polls likely to dominate winter session that begins today. Given by Alok Deshpande, Nagpur, December 7. Discourse surrounding the upcoming local body elections, even as the Mahayuti government completed a year and failure in appointing leaders of opposition in the Legislative Assembly and Council, are set to dominate the winter session of the state legislature that begins Monday. While the opposition's strength lies in its unified approach to current public discontent over farmer issues, social tensions, and allegations of corruption, the government's strategy will rely on its legislative majority to push through business and use the session's short duration of a week as a shield. The session will end on December 14. The Mahayuti, comprising BJP, Shiv Sena, and NCP, is determined to project its achievements and future roadmap for Viksit Maharashtra 2047, especially against the backdrop of completion of a year in office on December 5. On the other hand, the opposition MVA, comprising Shiv Sena, UBT, Congress, and NCP, is prepared to aggressively challenge the Mahayuti government, mainly on farmer crisis in the wake of floods in Marathwada, allegations of corruption, including the land scam involving Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar's son Parth Pawar, electoral mismanagement, social polarization after Maratha and OBC quota protests, and delicate state finances. The opposition plans a strategy to maximize political gains ahead of upcoming municipal corporation and Zilla Parishad polls. The MVA is set to press for the appointment of leaders of opposition in the state legislative assembly and council, as the ruling side has repeatedly said that the matter is used in their consideration. Speaking to reporters, Legislative Council Chairman Ram Shinde said they have received the letters from the opposition about the appointment. A decision will be taken at the appropriate time when pointed out past incidents where the LOP was appointed irrespective of opposition parties having won 10% seats of the total strength of the House, Shinde said. The norms in existence since the independence in 1947 need not become the norms to be followed in year 2025. The opposition plans to target the government over the severe agrarian crisis caused by unseasonal rain and floods. Apart from the demand of comprehensive farm loan waiver by calling the government's existing relief package around rupees 32,000 crore insufficient, the opposition is expected to take on the government over the delay in formally submitting the detailed damage assessment memorandum to the National Disaster Response Fund. The recent chaos in the local body elections will also be highlighted in the session. From the ruling side, the government is prioritizing the passage of supplementary demands, additional funds. It will also be citing the announcement and disbursement of the state's rupees 32,000 crore relief package for flood hit farmers as proof of their commitment. Sorry. Besides, the government will refer to the formation of a high level committee to study crop loan waiver and suggest short and long term measures to make farmers debt free. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has already announced that the government is not running away but will take a decision on crop loan waiver by June 2026. The government will defend the Kunbi certificate GR, which allows Marathas with proof to get OBC benefits while simultaneously emphasizing the protection of the existing OBC quota. Two separate cabinet subcommittees have been formed to address the concerns of both Marathas and OBCs, aiming to appear fair to both sides. In the case of chaos in local body elections, the government will cite the High Court order and the extended election code of conduct as the reasons for the session's curtailment and the polling postpones. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has already publicly expressed dissatisfaction with the State Election Commission's handling of the matter. Now, the next title is Opposition Boycotts Government's Tea Party Over Delay in Appointing LOPs. Again given by Alok Deshpande, Nagpur, December 7. Terming Terming IT anti-constitutional, Maharashtra's opposition parties criticized the Mahayuti government on Sunday over the delay in appointing leaders of the opposition in the legislature and announced a boycott of the customary tea party to be hosted on the eve of the legislature's winter session. We boycott the tea party called by the ruling Mahayuti government as it refuses to recognize the constitutional position of the leaders of the opposition. In the 1980s, even though there were not more than 15 opposition MLAs, the Congress government allowed the leader of the opposition post and respected the constitutional process. This government has no such intention and is hell bent on disrespecting the constitution, said Congress Legislative Party leader Vijay Vadetivar. Vadetivar. Vadetivar was addressing a press conference along with leaders of the Shiv Sena UBT and the Nationalist Congress Party SP. From cotton farmer suicides to the government's refusal to even send a proposal to the Center for Aid to farmers affected by floods in Marathwada, the opposition listed issues it plans to raise in the session scheduled to start on Monday. Vadetivar alleged that the majority of the funds were being spent on Mumbai, Pune, and Thane for 15 to 20% commission, while Vidarbha was neglected. The leaders who demanded a separate Vidarbha state are now ruling the state. These leaders are neglecting Vidarbha for the rest of Maharashtra. Sena UBT MLA Bhaskar Zadav said his party stood by constitutional values and that the opposition didn't support the kind of democracy being practiced by the ruling side. Continuing to the article, therefore, questions on Vidarbha's development should be put to those in power, said Vadetivar. He added that if the last name of Mr. Vadetivar is incorrectly pronounced by me, then do mention the exact pronunciation in the comment section. He added that he would also speak to the Congress High Command on whether the demand for a separate Vidarbha state should be raised again. Sena UBD MLA Bhaskar Zadav said his party stood by constitutional values and that the opposition didn't support the kind of democracy being practiced by the ruling side. LOP posts are lying vacant in both the state assembly and council. The government with a brutal majority is scared of the opposition despite its low numbers, he said. Zadav alleged that the government had provided crores of rupees to the legislators of the Mahayuti alliance but nothing to the opposition MLAs. During Congress rule, they had the decency to respect the opposition and earmark funds for its MLAs. But the Mahayuti government has no decency. The government has not sanctioned funds for constituencies held by opposition parties. Therefore, it's not proper to attain a customary tea meeting with the ruling alliance which does not have faith in the constitution and democracy, he added. Moving ahead, the next title is Sidco plans India's largest indoor live entertainment arena. Article has been given by Express News Service, Mumbai, December 7. Navi Mumbai is set to take Navi Mumbai is set to take center stage in India's entertainment revolution. The City and Industrial Development Corporation of Maharashtra (CIDCO) has officially announced an expression of interest for developing the country's first multi-purpose indoor live entertainment arena, promising a world-class venue for concerts, international support, international sporting events, cultural festivals, and immersive experiences. The arena, inspired by global landmarks such as New York's Madison Square Garden and London's O2 Arena, will feature 20,000 seats and a standing capacity of 25,000, making it India's largest indoor arena of its kind. The EOI document will be available online from December 9, with submissions closing on December 30 at 5 p.m. Vijay Singhal, Vijay Singhal, Vice Chairman and MD of CIDCO, said, "By initiating this project, we are not just building a venue, we are laying the foundation for a cultural and economic movement that will put Navi Mumbai on the global entertainment map." Strategically located, Navi Mumbai's connectivity is being enhanced with Atal Setu, Trans Harbour Link, high-speed rail corridors, the upcoming metro, and Navi Mumbai International Airport. The city's sports, tourism, and urban development projects, including Kharghar's FIFA compliant, compliant sports complex, the 18-hole golf course, and Nerul Jetty make it ready for international scale events. With global partnerships in the pipeline, CIDCO aims to transform Navi Mumbai into India's hub for live entertainment, generating employment, boosting tourism, and creating new business opportunities. The next title is Auto Rickshaw Hits Woman on Morning Walk, Killing Her. Article has been given by Express News Service, Mumbai, December 7. A 65-year-old woman who was out for her morning walk in Khar around 4:30 a.m. on Saturday was run over by an auto rickshaw driver. Police have registered an FIR against the driver and issued him a notice. An officer said the deceased, identified as Kubra Bano Mansoori, 65 years old, suffered from diabetes and would go for a walk at dawn every day. Usually she would leave around 4:30 a.m. and return home around 8:30 a.m. 4:30 to 8:30, 4 hours. The officer said. Her husband, Shabir Mansoori, told police that on Saturday morning he and his son were planning to take Kubra Bano to a doctor for a diabetes related issue after she returned from her walk. When she didn't return, they stepped out to look for her but could not find her. Later, a relative received a call from a neighbor working at Baba Hospital in Bandra informing them that Mansoori had met sorry, with an accident and had been declared dead at the hospital. The family rushed there and identified the deceased as Kubra Bano. They then contacted the Khar police, who informed them that she had been run over by an auto rickshaw driver identified as Kailash Singh. He had taken her to the hospital where she was declared dead. The Khar police were alerted by Bhabha Hospital, following which an FIR was registered against Singh. An officer said a notice has been issued to Singh and he was allowed to go as the offence carries a maximum punishment of less than 7 years. Moving ahead, the next title is Indigo cancels 112 flights in Mumbai, second highest after Hyderabad. Article has been given by Naresh S. Mumbai, December 7. Indigo's operations continued to face disruptions across its network Sunday, and Mumbai remain among the worst affected airports. The city recorded 112 cancellations Sunday, 56 arrivals and 56 departures, the second highest nationwide after Hyderabad. According to the airline, it's progressively restoring schedules after days of severe disruption. Indigo confirmed it's on track to operate more than 1,650 flights Sunday, up from around 1,500 a day earlier. On-time performance rose sharply to 75%, up from nearly 30% the previous day. In an official statement, the airline said they're establishing further significant and sustained improvements across the network. Their teams are working relentlessly to stabilize operations, and their primary focus remains on providing an enhanced travel experience for their customers. Indigo added that cancellations were issued earlier in the day to provide passengers greater notice, and that refund and luggage processes were in full action at all affected airports. Despite the improvement, the ground reality is not getting any better as many passengers in Mumbai continue to face long delays, repeated rescheduling, and persistent issues. Anand Parmar, who was set to fly from Mumbai to Chennai on Friday evening, said his flight was cancelled after he checked in. Since then, he has been trying to trace his luggage. It's almost the third day today, but he still haven't gotten his luggage. He have been calling customer care and waiting in kiosks at the airport. There is still no clarity on where his bag is. He is exhausted, he said. Airport officials said baggage tracing teams are still working through large backlogs created over the past few days, and the unusually high volume or disrupted flights has slowed clearance. Mumbai has recorded a steady escalation in cancellations through the week. On Tuesday, the city saw 29 arrivals and 26 departures cancelled. This rose sharply to 85 cancellations on Wednesday. Thursday witnessed the heaviest impact with estimates ranging from 100 to 118 cancellations across the day. Friday recorded another 104 cancellations. Saturday marked the highest impact of the week with 146 cancellations between midnight and 8 pm. While Sunday's total dipped to 112, officials said operations remain unstable and further adjustments may occur later in the night. Indigo said network sta- it expects network stabilization by December 10, advancing its earlier timeline of December 10 to 15. The next title is Privilege Motion Against Comedian Kunal Kamra. Progressing says Council Chairman. Maharashtra Legislative Council Chairman Ram Shinde on Sunday said the breach of privilege motion against stand-up comedian Kunal Kamra for his remarks against Deputy Chief Minister and Shiv Sena leader Eknath Shinde has been accepted and is progressing as per procedure. Speaking to reporters, Shinde said that the Privileges Committee will examine the motion. The breach of privilege motion has been accepted and referred to the Privileges Committee, which will examine it. And the matter, this may sound like repeating the same lines in different ways, but this is what is given in this article. I'm not saying anything by myself. And the matter will be discussed in the House once its report is submitted, he said. The motion was initiated by BJP MLCs in the council after Kamra's video criticizing the government went viral in March. The next title is Guru Tegh Bahadur saved Dharma, sacrificed his life to protect faith of religious communities. CM. Article has been given by Express News Service, Nagpur, December 7. Nagpur witnessed one of the largest religious congregations in recent years as the city observed the 350th martyr- martyrdom anniversary of Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib under the state government's Hind Di Chadar Hind Di Chadar program held on Sunday. The event, attended by thousands of devotees and representatives of various communities, highlighted the ninth Sikh Guru's supreme sacrifice in protecting religious freedom and Indian culture. Addressing the gathering, Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis said the program was aimed at paying tribute to Guru Tegh Bahadur, revered as Hindi Chaddar, for sacrificing his life to protect the faith and cultural rights of religious communities. He said his Shahidi Samagam symbolized unity among Sikhs, Nanakpathis, and several other communities. Nanakpanthis and several other communities, including Sikhligar, Labana, Bandara, Moyal, Sindhi, Valmiki, and followers of the Warkari tradition, Bhagat Namdev. During his speech, Fadnavis recalled the message of Ek Onkar given by Guru Nanak Dev Ji at a time when society was deeply divided by caste and social hierarchies. He said Guru Nanak's teachings created a large community of followers across the country whose ideals were carried forward by successive gurus. The CM also spoke about the period of foreign invasions and the role of the Sikh gurus in protecting India's religious and cultural identity through social reform, collective worship, and the tradition of langar, which promoted equality. Referring to the historical background of Guru Tegh Bahadur's martyrdom, Fadnavis said when Aurangzeb ordered the forced conversion of Kashmiri Pandits, the victims turned to the ninth Sikh Guru as their only hope. Guru Tegh Bahadur later travelled to Delhi to defend their right to practice their religion. He was arrested, tortured, and executed in public for refusing to convert. He noted that Guru Tegh Bahadur's sacrifice ensured the survival of India's diverse religious traditions and values. Moving to the world section of the Indian Express, the first title is Moscow Wants Radical Changes, US Special Envoy. The deal depends on resolving future of Donbas, sorry, Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. The article has been given by Reuters, Moscow, December 7. US President Donald Trump's outgoing Ukraine envoy said a deal to end the Ukraine war was really close and depended on resolving two major issues, but the Kremlin said there had to be radical changes to some of the US proposals. Trump, who says he wants to be remembered as a peacemaker, president says that ending Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II has so far been the most elusive foreign policy aim of his presidency. US Special Envoy for Ukraine Keith Kellogg, who is due to set down in January, told the Reagan National Defense Forum that efforts to resolve the conflict were in the last 10 meters, which he said was always the hardest. The two main outstanding issues, Kellogg said, were on territory, primarily the future of the Donbas and the future of Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, Europe's largest, which is under Russian control. Kellogg said if they get those two issues settled, he thinks the rest of the things will work out fairly well. Kellogg said on Saturday at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum in Simi Valley, California. They're almost there. They are really, really close, said Kellogg. After President Vladimir Putin held 4 hours of Kremlin talks last week with Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Trump's son in law, Jared Kushner, Putin's top foreign policy aide, Yuri Ushakov, said territorial problems were discussed. That is Kremlin shorthand for Russian claims to the whole of Donbas. Through Ukraine is still in control of at least 5,000 square kilometers, 1,900 square miles of the area. Almost all countries recognize Donbas as part of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that handing over the rest of Donetsk would be illegal without a referendum and would give Russia a platform to launch assaults deeper into Ukraine in the future. The next title is Russia says it droned 77 Ukrainian drones overnight. The article has been given by Reuters December 7. Russia's air defenses destroyed 77 Ukrainian drones launched overnight, Russia's defense ministry said on Sunday, as both sides continue cross border air attacks in the nearly 4-year-old war. The drones were torn over 7 regions in southern and central Russia and over Russian annexed Crimea, the ministry said in a statement on the Telegram messaging app. Meanwhile, Russian missile and drone attacks overnight into Sunday killed at least one person in Ukraine, after US and Ukrainian officials wrapped up a third day of talks aimed at ending the war. A man was killed in a drone attack on Ukraine's northern Chernihiv region Saturday night, local officials said. The latest round of attacks came as President Volodymyr Zelensky said Saturday evening he had a substantive phone call with American officials engaged in talks. The next title is Hexed Defense Strikes on Drug Cartel Boats. Article has been given by Associated Press, Washington, December 7. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth defended strikes on alleged drug cartel boards during remarks Saturday at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, saying President Donald Trump has the power to take military action as he sees fit to defend the nation. Hegseth dismissed criticism of the strikes, which have killed more than 80 people and now face intense scrutiny over concerns that they violated international law. Saying the strikes are justified to protect Americans, Hegseth, li- like Hegseth likened the fight to the war on terror following the September 11, 2001 attacks. If you're working for a designated terrorist organization and you bring drugs to this country in a boat, they will find you and will sink you. Let there be no doubt about it, Hegseth said during his keynote address at the Reagan National Defense Forum. President Trump can and will take decisive military action as he sees fit to defend our nation's interests. Let no country on earth doubt that for a moment. The most recent strike brings the death toll of the campaign to at least 87 people. Lawmakers have sought more answers about the attacks and their legal justification, and whether US forces were ordered to launch a follow up strike following a September attack, even after the Pentagon knew of survivors. Though Hegseth compared the alleged drug smugglers to Al Qaeda terrorists, experts have noted significant differences between the two foes and the efforts to combat them. Hegseth's remarks came after the Trump administration released its new national security strategy, one that one that paints European allies as weak and aims to reassert America's dominance in Western Hemisphere. Hegseth also discussed the need to check China's rise through strength instead of conflict. He repeated Trump's vow to resume nuclear testing on an equal basis as China and Russia, a goal that has alarmed many nuclear arms experts. China and Russia haven't conducted explosive tests in decades, though the Kremlin said it would be it would allow the US if Trump restarted tests. The next title is Japan Australia urge calm after Chinese radar locks on Japanese jets. Article has been given by Associated Press, Tokyo, December 7. Japan and Australia urged calm on Sunday after Chinese military aircraft locked radar on Japanese fighter jets a month after the Japanese leader's recent remarks on Taiwan that stirred tensions between Tokyo and Beijing. Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi said Japan formally protested the incident, calling it an extremely regrettable act and a dangerous one that exceeded the scope necessary for safe aircraft operations. They have lodged a strong protest with the Chinese side and demanded strict preventive measures, Koizumi said. Japan's defense ministry said China's military aircraft J-15 took off from the Chinese carrier landing near the southern island of Okinawa on Saturday and intermittently lashed its radar on Japanese F-15 fighter jets on two occasions Saturday. For about 3 minutes in the late afternoon and for about 30 minutes in the evening, it was not made clear whether the radar lock incident involved the same Chinese J-15 both times. Japanese fighter jets had been scrambled to pursue Chinese ones that were conducting aircraft takeoff and landing exercises in the Pacific. They were pursuing the Chinese aircraft at a safe distance and didn't take actions that could be interpreted as provocation, Kyodo News Agency said. The next title is 55 More Iranians to Return Home in Trump Immigration Crackdown. Article has been given by Reuters, Dubai, December 7. 55 Iranians deported from the United States will return to their home country in the coming days, Iran's foreign ministry said on Sunday, in the second such deportation under President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. In September, officials said the US had identified about 400 Iranians to be deported, with a first flight carrying 120 people making its way to Tehran via Qatar's capital. In the coming days, about 55 nationals will return to Iran. This is the second group being returned to Iran in the latest months. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghel said, adding, the, adding that US deportations were based on political grounds and anti migrant policies that are against international law. The transfers mark an unusual moment of coordination between two nations at loggerheads over Iran's nuclear program, which Tehran says is purely civilian, but Washington asserts is aimed at building a nuclear bomb. The two countries do not have a direct line of communication, Baghai said, adding that they communicated through their respective interest protection offices or via intermediaries. Intermediaries. Baghai also Baghai also criticized Washington for not facilitating visas for all of Iran's soccer delegation for the World Cup draw held on Friday in Washington, while Iran had applied for 9 visas for its delegation. Iranian Soccer Federation spokesperson Amir Mehdi Alvi was quoted as saying that the US had granted only 4 visas, including for coach Ardeshir Amir Ghalenoi. The next title is Hong Kong election turnout in focus amid anger over deadly fire. Given by Reuters, Hong Kong, December 7. Hong Kong citizens were voting on Sunday in an election where the focus is on turnout, with residents grieving and traumatized after the city's worst fire in nearly 80 years and the authorities scrambling to avoid a broader public backlash. Security was tight in the northern district of Taipo, close to the border with mainland China, where the fire engulfed 7 towers. The city is holding elections for the Legislative Council, in which only candidates weighted as patriots by the China backed Hong Kong government may run. Residents are angry over the blaze that killed at least 159 people and took nearly 2 days to extinguish after it broke out on November 26. The authorities say substandard building materials used in renovating a high rise housing estate were responsible for fueling the fire. Eager to contain the public dismay, authorities have launched criminal and corruption investigations into the blaze and roughly 100 police patrolled the area around Wang Fuk Court, the site of the fire, early on Sunday. A resident in his late 70s named Cheng, who lives near the shared buildings, said he would not vote. He is very upset by the Great Fire, he said during a morning walk. This is a result of a flawed government. There is not a healthy system now, and He won't vote to support those pro-establishment politicians who failed us, who failed them. Sheng declined to give his full name, saying he feared authorities would target those who criticized the government. At a memorial site near the burned out residential development, a sign said authorities plan to clear the area after the election concludes close to midnight, suggesting government anxiety over public anger. Beijing's National Security Office in Hong Kong has said it would crack down on any anti-China protest in the wake of the fire and warn against using the disaster to disrupt Hong Kong. The next title is Netanyahu says Israel Hamas will begin second phase of ceasefire soon. Article has been given by Associated Press, Tel Aviv, December 7. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday in Jerusalem that Israel and Hamas are very shortly expected to move into second phase of the ceasefire after Hamas returns remains of the last hostage being held in Gaza. Netanyahu made the comments during a news conference with German Chancellor Fr- Friedrich Merz, who is visiting Israel. Netanyahu stressed that the second phase of the ceasefire, the disarming of Hamas and the demilitarization of Gaza, could begin as soon as the end of the month. Hamas is still holding the remains of Ran Gwili, a 24-year-old police officer who was killed on October 7, 2023, and whose body was taken to Gaza. The second stage also includes deploying an international force to secure Gaza and forming a temporary Palestinian government to run day-to-day affairs under the supervision of an international board led by President Donald Trump. The last title is How a COVID Bioweapon Theory Tore Prominent Scientist Couple Apart. Article has been given by Kate J. M. Baker, December 7. One morning in April 2020, Ranawaka Pereira cooked fried eggs and tomatoes for his wife, Li Mingyan. When she said she was not hungry, he pressed her to eat anyway. Lately, Dr. Yan had seen so anxious that at times she felt she could barely breathe, and Dr. Pereira was worried about her health. Everyone they knew was stressed in early 2020. The couple both worked at a prestigious lab at the University of Hong Kong, where they researched viruses, including an alarming new coronavirus that was spreading around the globe. Dr. Yan was convinced that the prevailing theory that COVID-19 had emerged from a live animal market in the city of Wuhan was false and that the truth was much darker. She believed the Chinese government had purposefully grown the virus in a lab and released it to set off a deadly pandemic. Dr. Pereira, an experienced virologist, didn't rule out the possibility of a lab accident, but that would have been far different from a deliberate release, and he told Dr. Yan, who was relatively new to their field, that it was too soon to know where the virus had come from. If they ever would, he resolved to spend less time at the lab so he could care for his wife. After breakfast, he told her he had planned a journey to a scheduled he had planned a journey to a secluded beach. Dr. Yan loved the sea. His attempts to calm her failed. A few days later, Dr. Pereira returned from work to find that his wife had fled their home. She left no clues to where she had gone, but there was a cryptic note scribbled on their chalkboard that referenced their pet nicknames for each other. Yo-Yo love bingo forever, it said. Soon Dr. Pereira would learn that Dr. Yan had for some time been in contact with powerful allies of the Trump administration, people who had their own incentives for blaming the pandemic on China. Her plane ticket to the United States had been paid for by a foundation tied to Mr. Trump's former strategist Steve Bannon and the exiled Chinese billionaire Guo Wengui. Later that summer, he watched in shock as Dr. Yan became a talking head on the mega media circuit in the United States, with repeated appearances on Tucker Carlson's Fox News TV show promoting her origin theories. The whole arc of the story and the counter narrative that they put out about COVID, a lot of it was because of Dr. Yan, Mr. Bannon said in a recent interview. She became a media star. Dr. Pereira got a job at the University of Pennsylvania in 2021 so he could move to the United States and more easily search for his wife. He has traveled the country begging for help not just from the men who facilitated her move, but from police officers, FBI agents, the State Department powerhouse lawyers, private detectives, even cult deprogrammers. Nothing has worked. That is because Dr. Yan does not want to be found. In a series of video interviews with the New York Times from undisclosed locations, Dr. Yan said she believes her family has been coerced by the Chinese government to lure her back to China, where she said she fears she'll be retali- retaliated against. Dr. Yan's relatives strongly deny any such connection. In fact, they concede that it's reasonable for her to worry about returning to China after publicly criticizing the government for so long. But they also think that she fell under another kind of control. This one exerted by those who they believe exploited her for their own political gain. Because of them, they said Dr. Yan is now effectively trapped in the United States, her once promising career and happy marriage destroyed. He just wants to talk to her directly and make sure that she's safe, Dr. Pereira said. If she's safe and doesn't want to be with him, he can move on, but not until he knows exactly what happened. She's the person he loves the most. For today, this much. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Thank you for being here.